Welcome to another episode of Bridging Divide. I am super excited to bring our guests today. We have Victoria Whitaker and her niece, Paige Scholes. I had to make sure that I got that right off camera so I didn't look like an idiot. But that's not really hard to do. So we've still got chances later on. All right, so I'm super excited. Victoria is a friend of my brother-in-law, Gabe. Gabe, love you, brother. And we have her niece, Paige, here. We are going to be talking about her book, Little Demons, which I told you I have read about 4 or 5 times. And it is super awesome. Gabe told me about what you wrote, and then he showed it to me, and I just immediately fell in love with it. It really kind of kind of caught me off guard because it's a mental health book for children.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
which is not a super common thing, and it's something I grapple with all the time because I told you I have 6 kids, all under the age of 9. It's a bit of a madhouse at my house, but it's always kind of a challenge. How do I, broach these subjects with them and talk to them about that. So I kind of want to brag about you guys a little bit here, or have you brag about yourselves. So you have been a school teacher, correct? Or substitute teacher
for about 8 years.
You said 8 years, okay.
And then, before that was in a preschool setting, but yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's pretty much, my house is pretty much a preschool setting right now. And then Paige, you are in school. You're 14.
Yep.
And you drew all the illustrations in this.
Yes.
I mean, look at this. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is seriously so ridiculous. Like, I was just, oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyway, I could go on and on about it because it's absolutely awesome. Like, seriously, I love it so much.
Thank you.
And you're in 9th grade.
9th grade, yeah.
Man, yeah. It's been, I can't even remember when I was in 9th grade. It's been a long time. It's kind of I'm at that age, I'm 33, where it's like I can still remember being in high school, and I'm like, yeah, like, it wasn't that long ago. And then I get older and older, I'm like, I don't relate as much to the younger crowd. I find myself saying things like the younger crowd or back in my day, and I don't know what's happening to me in my life, but you'll get there one day. But no, so yeah, I'm super excited to have you guys. And so we want to kind of have a little bit of fun. Sent you guys some questions just to kind of prepare you a little bit. So I like to start off with one thing that people don't know about you. Oof. That you don't mind divulging on camera.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, that's going to be a hard one for me because I always joke about that I'm an open audiobook. Like, I'm very much like...
And so like 50 movie quotes that you said since we got here? Yeah,
yes, I'm very loquacious, a very just very open person. But I guess one thing that not a lot of people know about me is, so everyone knows that, I want to be a mom someday. Like, my major was human development, and people always ask me, like, well, what do you want to do with that? And I'm like, develop humans. But what I want to do with that, or eventually, is be a motivational speaker, because, I don't know, I just feel like it's a combination of all the things that I really love. I love to make people laugh, so I feel like it's somewhat, like, you get to be a comedian and, like...
Flex those performance muscles.
Yes. But then the other half of it is just really, like, motivating people. That's motivational speaker. But, like, just, lifting people up. And, one way you can do that is with humor, and then with just, I don't know. And so that's why, well, before I wrote that, I have started another book that's like a memoir. And mostly I just have the title that's called Shine On. A memoir of humor, hysterics, and healing. Not necessarily in that order.
Okay. I'm excited for that one.
But that's going to be a while. But the reason why I wanted to write a memoir is because I'm like, every motivational speaker I know has they've done something. Like, it's like, okay, why do we want, like, what's so motivational about this person? What have they done? Usually they've done cool things and then written a book or 2 or 5 about life and like so they know stuff. So
Yeah, no,
I was
absolutely.
like, I gotta write some books.
Hey, I like it. I like it. All right, well, Paige, what about you?
I don't really know. Like, so the question was things people don't know about me?
Yeah.
I don't know, same with you, I'm kind of open about everything.
So we can. What do you want to do? I guess. What's
Oh.
your dream? We could talk about that. Just talk about being a motivational speaker.
Yeah, well, most people think I'm gonna do something with art, because, like,
'Cause
it's
you
kind
draw
of what
really
I
well.
do.
You're amazing at it.
But another thing I kind of want to do is something with, like, animals, because I really, really like animals, or, like, something in between the two, because I know there's, like, not a job right now that I necessarily can think of, but, like, you never know. There could be something new in the future, so maybe something that has to do with art and animals.
Something you create.
Yeah,
maybe.
I could make
absolutely.
my own job.
Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
like no, and I'm right on there with you because like I wanted to do so many different things when I was younger, and just I feel like just now I'm coming into something that I love to do, something that I didn't even see.
Mhm.
You know, I talked to you guys about networking, how I love going out and getting to know and meet a bunch of different people, and a bunch of people that have businesses that I would never in a million years would have thought that that's like actually a viable thing. But you mentioned animals, and I'm so sorry we did not introduce our other guest here.
Yes.
So who do we have here?
This is Hartley. He's the big brother, and then this is Moxie. And
She's
Moxie.
asleep.
yeah, and she's got Moxie.
Yeah?
Yeah, she's got it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, no, that's super, super fun. Well, so we really want to talk about, so on the Bridging Divides podcast, right, we talk about how different people are bridging divides around them, right? You know, we definitely, you know, that's why we talk a lot about mental health and overcoming mental hurdles and different things like that. And so really kind of want to dive into that, and we're going to go over some questions here, and then we'll get to know you guys really well here. So okay, so so you had talked about kind of why you wrote Little Demons, which is just, I love the name. It's also what I call my children. But so why? I guess let's start with why.
Why?
Yeah, why did you write the book? Like where did it come from?
Well, it didn't start out as a book.
Yeah.
I wrote the poem back in 2018, and it was actually when I had just started a relationship with a guy. And it's kind of funny because I feel like the poem that I wrote at that time kind of foreshadowed the next, 5 years of my life. So obviously, you know, healing is not linear. Like
Yes.
I wrote these things and then I had to live through them for the next 5 years.
It's funny how that works out.
Yeah. So yeah, I was dating this guy that turned out to be like a covert narcissist, just very controlling.
It
and
can be pretty sneaky.
yes, and I, obviously had dealt with depression before, but during that time, I only dated him for 2 months, but I went into just like a really deep depression, and my family at the time, they noticed, but they didn't say anything. They expected, when you're with someone, they expected me to be more excited and more of myself, and I just was tired all the time and just like moody and just depressed. And so, yeah, and I had posted that poem on Facebook, and then I actually took it down because I was feeling self-conscious about it. The little demons getting in my head, like people are gonna think this is stupid or something. Anyway, I don't know. So, but like I said, it kind of foreshadowed the next 5 years of my life because things ended with that guy, thankfully, but I had to go to 5 months of therapy after that.
Yeah.
And then it just felt like it was like one thing after another, because I went to 5 months of therapy and I was good for a while, and then maybe after about a year I could just feel myself slipping into the depression again, and just having all these doubts and just feeling really low. And I set up a meeting with my therapist, and that's when like everything hit the fan with 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Did for a lot of
I
people.
wasn't able to see him in person, and I felt like I had built these tools, and like my toolbox was taken away. It's like, oh, do stuff with family.
Gosh,
Oh, nope,
yeah.
you can't. Find purpose in your work and in your calling a church. Like,
Yeah,
but I couldn't do
nothing
either. Like
around.
the schools and church closed down at the same time, and it was like, make sure you take care of yourself. And I was like, I wasn't sleeping.
how?
Like I was just like, all of my tools have been taken
Yeah.
away, and I just remember like crying on the phone to my mom, being like, my quarantine is twice as long as everybody else's because I'm not sleeping. Like
Oh, gosh.
it was just bad.
Yeah.
And then, even when things got better, like, after that, I moved out here, and it was just still, when I moved out to Arizona, I was just a mess. Like, it took all of my energy just to get up every day and go to work. And I would just, be on autopilot, like, taking attendance, and then I would come home and just sleep pretty much until the next day.
How was that? Teaching kids when little do they know you're going through this crazy thing?
It was hard. I mean, definitely, it helped when I was like in the older grades, like in high school grades, because then, they would just do their thing and I could just get through it. But like when I was with younger kids, that's the thing. Younger kids, they feed off of the energy and
So
the
you have to
emotion
be
that you're
on.
giving. Yeah. And so, it was rough because there were times where I felt myself getting frustrated, or because, when I'm depressed, it's like everything's annoying, and like I just am so agitated,
That irritability.
and so yeah, it'd be hard, like there was one time when the kids were supposed to go out for like recess before their lunch, and it was raining, and already like lunch was going to be like a half an hour. And then they're like, oh, it's rainy day recess, they're going to be inside the classroom.
Crap.
And like usually they have like aides, so you can still have like and they're like, no, like you just have to be with them. And I just like went in the bathroom and cried for like a couple minutes, and then went and got the kids, and just was like, and so like I said, it just felt like wave after wave after wave.
Sometimes you just gotta have a good cry.
Yeah.
It's so cathartic. I cry way more. I'm the one that cries the most in my family, and so it's kind of funny. But anyway, I get that from my dad. It's definitely hereditary. No, but yeah, it's interesting too how it's kind of cool to see though how those difficult times that we go through can result in things like this. That you have kind of, you get through the fire with something to show for it.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really excited because I was reading through it and I was like, oh, I kind of want to ask, a question about this or a question about that. And so I'll definitely do that. But we definitely are super excited about that. So let's jump in here. What I kind of want to do, kind of as we go along, I kind of planned on asking you both some questions and kind of want to see kind of your experiences, as you guys have kind of lived in your lives. And so one of the things that really stood out to me here is that you had mentioned what's inside can cause the most pain, right? As opposed to, what's on the outside. One of the things I've heard, people say, it's all in your head. And the thing I think of is, well, yeah, so has a brain tumor, but it doesn't mean it's not going to hurt you. You know, so you gotta take care of it. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I've been doing a lot of like research on, not research, but I guess like reading a lot of self-help books lately about the attachment theory and just like not manifestation, but sort of like just about your mind. And when people say, well, it's just all in your head, I mean, your head creates your reality. And so like I think of the Harry Potter quote where he's like, yeah, but you know, this isn't real. It's just like, is this real or is this just happening in my head? And he's like, well, of course it's happening in your head, Harry, but why on earth should that mean that it's not real?
Yeah.
And so the reason why I said that is because what's going on in our head, memory is not solid, you know? The things that we remember about our past is colored by how we are feeling in the present moment.
Yeah.
And how we look towards the future is also colored. So whatever is going on in your head, whatever your emotional state is right now, changes the past and it changes your future. And so that's why it's so important to, it's important to have your physical health, but, you know, your mental health, it affects your worldview. It affects everything else.
Absolutely.
Because like if your leg is broken, then, you know, you can use your brain and okay, think rationally, like, what do I need to do? Like, you know, I need to go to the doctor, I need to stop the bleeding or whatever. But the thing is, when your brain is broken, it's like having glasses that are broken and you need your glasses to be able to see them clearly in order to fix them.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's explained beautifully. Oh my goodness. As you're speaking, I'm just like, okay, I gotta remember this, which is I'm glad it's recorded, so I can watch it later. So one of the things I like to ask people are, what are some limiting beliefs, or you know, those little demons that you know you've overcome? Is there one that sticks out in your mind as something that you've kind of overcome or are working to overcome?
I guess just, I feel like I'm always working to be more me, I guess. I really love Alice in Wonderland, and in Through the Looking Glass, the Mad Hatter sees Alice and he says, "You've lost your muchness. You used to be much, muchier." And I feel like, you know, when I was a kid, I mean, my parents, they talk about stories. I was just confident. And, you know, like, when I came into this world, I was me. I was Victoria.
Yeah.
And I just said and did things, and I was just bold and happy. And, well, like, up there, like that family portrait, that's a favorite of mine. That's me in the front slapping my brother because the lady said, you know, say Lion King, and he said it, and I was like, I'm supposed to say Lion King. Like, I was so just very
funny.
Just.
Well, we'll take a picture.
Here I am.
We'll have it up so they can actually see what we're looking at.
Sorry.
That is so fun. That is so good. I didn't even notice that. That's fantastic.
And so, but I feel like, you know, as with everybody, the world, by no fault of their own, like the people in your life, the people that you form your first attachments with, your parents, your siblings, the people at school, your first friends, the world kind of weighs you down and tells you who you are or who you're supposed to be, or, you know, what it means to be successful, or what it means to be happy, or what it means to be a good person. And, you know, by the time I was in high school, just through life circumstances and, you know, people trying to struggle with their own demons and figure life out, I was weighed down I first started having depression when I was probably, I don't know, 13, 14, pretty young, and through my college years, I don't know, like I was happy, but like I just feel like I was stressed out and anxious all the time.
Like
and
like a cloud kind of over
yeah,
everything.
and when I graduated, I tried to stay and stick around, but eventually I moved back home to California. And when I got there, I just decided, you know what? Time for, to take my muchness back. Like, time for Victoria to show up. Like, I can be anybody I want to be because the people here don't know me yet. And I'm going to be Victoria. And, that was in 2016. So obviously I wrote that later and all this. But it's been a process. And I feel like you have to fight to be you, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that, like, there's too much that each of us has to offer the world to let self-doubt stop us. Like every single person, every single one of us has this uniqueness, the muchness you're talking about, that we have to offer, whatever that is, whether it's boisterous or loud or if it's quiet and cool. I mean, every single one of us has what only we can offer.
Exactly.
And so I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, when you say that, like, I feel like kind of right now the world, it's all about being unique, but I feel like it's like you need to be unique in our way. Like, you're only unique if you're like wearing certain clothes or like, oh, that person is
unique like everybody else.
Yeah, like, oh, they're being themselves. That's so cool. But I'm like, are they? I mean, sometimes they are, but like,
which is great. Yeah.
Someone can be themselves and be, quiet and like, silently doing things and being themselves that way. Like, you don't need to be loud and crazy to be yourself. Like, I mean, if that is yourself,
if
which
you're
is
loud
me,
and crazy,
like, then
me. Yeah,
go
exactly.
for it. But like, the world needs just as many, quiet doers and thinkers and.
No, absolutely. So Paige, what is something, one of those limiting beliefs, the little demons we'll call them, that you've had to overcome or that you are working to overcome?
I guess just like my own pressure, because like when I finished that book, I couldn't even look back at like the first pages because I just like it's just painful to even look back at them. I just hated them so much.
Like the first drafts, that like the first copies, or like
no,
the
like
literal
the
first pages of the
the
book?
pages that are in that book. I can't
my
even really
goodness.
look at them. Like there's like I feel like I've just improved so much since then, and I just can't like even look back at anything from like a week ago even. It's
wow,
just like
that's interesting.
Yeah, there's just a lot of pressure on myself to move forward, and I mean it's been working. I've gone far with like my art, but it's just a lot of the stuff I've done I just can't look back on ever.
Interesting. I mean, and it's good to have that drive, to always want to be better, but being able to look at previous work, that can be hard.
Yeah.
No, I can totally get that. It's actually funny because we actually started this channel, what kid was it, three months ago, something like that, and I'm watching some of the earliest videos, and I'm just like, I sound like a tool or like I sound so like manufactured.
Yeah.
And like I'm talking, I don't even know, I don't talk to anybody that way. I'm like, please do this and blah blah blah.
It's your radio voice.
I know.
Welcome to my podcast.
I wish it sounded cool like a radio voice. I don't even know what the heck it was. But yeah, no, that can be definitely a challenge. But kind of diving into this book here, a couple of the things. One of the things that I found interesting is that you said demons can be clever. Our inner demons can be clever. Can you explain how? Like, how do you see that?
Yeah, just like what I said, they can make you believe things that otherwise you would never. Because the demons in our head are usually I mean, it's our own self-talk, but it's, self-talk from that are repeats of things that maybe important people in our lives have said to us.
Ooh, yeah.
And so I just feel like they're really good at, okay, so one of my therapists describes me, when you are depressed, sometimes it's a chemical thing. And because your brain is trying to make sense of like, okay, why am I feeling this way? There must be a reason. So it looks for evidence, even when it's not there. So it creates this narrative in your head of like, and that's where the term projecting comes from. It's like, okay, I'm feeling like I have low self-esteem. I'm feeling, why is that? And then you look at people, like I said, you're looking through this lens that affects your whole worldview. And so based on just people, how they look or what they say, they're like, oh, that person said that because they think I'm stupid, or they said that. And so then it feeds this narrative that you already have going in your head. So it colors, I guess, people and things and your experiences with evidence to support the negative, false things about yourself, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And I love that you're so open about therapy and counseling and all these different things, because honestly, I think every single person could use therapy.
Could benefit from
that, because learning how to think and how to overcome your mental hurdles and different things like that. But it's, being able to change that, I think it's super, super important. Start of the show here.
Yes.
I love the imagery of everything, and one of the things I wanted to ask Paige, because you were telling me about how, so you kind of told her kind of what you were looking for, correct? And then it was up to your interpretation to kind of come up with the drawings of all of this. I mean, how did you come up with everything? Like, did you tell her like exactly what to write in these little illustrations, or like how'd that go?
So basically, I just, like, I drew up some sketches. Like, I drew up little demons because I was like, that's the best I can do.
The scribbles?
Yeah.
These are the cutest
yeah.
scribbles that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, I love those. Anyway,
well, because, I wanted it to be something that represents just like the in your brain. But like still, it's sort of a kid's book, so not like something scary. And then I just drew up some sketches for, some ideas that I had, but really not that much. And I was like, yeah, I want there to, they wrote things on the walls, and I suggested putting like the words on their move-in boxes, but like really, I didn't tell her like what words to write, just like negative thoughts and things. And I just feel like she did a really good job of capturing exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. So the question is, how did you come up with all the little things?
Honestly, I just kind of like, she gave me like some words to use, and I just kind of went with those, but then just like stuff I've thought, or like the demons in my head have said to me, and I just kind of, or just like I tried to take things like, I don't know, in one of them I just tried to take like everything, I just made the background, and then I just took everything and tried to make it negative. I tried to like turn it around. Like there's one, I know you really like it, it says like live, laugh, love, and I just completely flipped it around and I said die, cry, hate.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice that one. That's so funny. Yeah, but isn't that crazy though, how like we take these things, you had mentioned memories, and how we can literally change them in our mind to make them the exact opposite of what we've been through. Like it blows my mind that's what we do. But one of them that really resonated with me was the one that said lazy bum on it, because that's my thing for me, is I always feel like I always feel like I'm lazy, like the things that it can be difficult, because I've struggled with depression and suicidal ideations and all this other crazy stuff, and it's interesting how it's just this loop, right? So it's like you feel bad about what's going on, and then what's going on makes you feel worse, and then it just kind of like is this loop. But so it's like, man, why am I so lazy? Why am I so this? Why am I so that? And so yeah, I just wanted to say like that was one that really resonated with me.
I'm glad that you brought that specific one up, because this was all her. I mean, she did the what is it called? The shrine inside your head to all the stupid things you've done or said. And so I love the pictures that she used, and then I love how later, and yeah, like I said, this was all her. It was the same exact pictures, but she kind of like put different words on them, or like just changed them a little bit to be positive, because it's the same picture. And with the lazy bum, where there's a picture of me sleeping, she just got rid of the lazy bum, and I asked her to put in, can you write self-care? Because that's one of the ways that, well, demons, they're clever and they'll get to you. And it's just like, yeah, when I'm depressed, it's like, I'm not eating right. I'm not motivated to do anything. I let my house get cluttered. And then the clutter, like oversleep, like the clutter and the not eating right, like it just makes me feel worse. But sometimes, sometimes you're not being lazy. You really do need that sleep or that self-care or that time to yourself.
Absolutely.
Even though the world or people demand your time and attention, it's just like, no, I need to fill my cup first before I can
like you can't
fill yours.
You can't give anything that you don't have.
Yeah.
So if you have to take that time to fill it back up, take that time.
Yeah, when I first started seeing my therapist after dating that guy, I remember, I'd always heard you have to have your cup full before you can give to someone else. He's like, you have melted down your cup and put that into other. He's like, you don't even have a cup right now. Like, it's so pretty much telling me to stop, take, get
a new cup.
Yeah, take care of myself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I absolutely love that. One of the things that I really, really loved was how you, right towards the end, you said, "That's not cool, dude," which I thought was so funny. I love that line specifically, talking to your demons. But it shifts to then it talks about helping others, and which we just talked about. You got to fill your own cup. You actually have a cup to be able to fill. But how have you viewed helping others as then helping yourself? Because that's something we talk a lot about in Bridging Divides, is that bridges go both ways. And so as we help somebody else build a bridge, it comes back to us. So how have you viewed helping others as helping yourself?
Okay. It's going to be kind of like a roundabout answer, but like Legally Blonde says, I'll get there. I'm getting there.
Okay. Love it. That's actually one of my favorite movies. I love Reese Witherspoon.
Then make it. Okay, I'm getting it.
Yeah. All right.
So,
go on.
Something that I've believed for a lot of my life is that a lot of the negativity in the world, like people who bully, manipulate, strive for power and money, all of that would go away if everybody felt comfortable just being exactly who they are. Because, like I said, I've studied human development and family processes and attachment theory, and how we view the world and ourselves and how we behave comes down to one thing, and that we all biologically and spiritually and emotionally have a need to feel loved and to feel secure, to feel safe. And, part of depression and anxiety or, addiction or any of these things that come about comes from, at our core, not feeling seen, not feeling heard.
Interesting.
Feeling like we aren't in control of our lives. And so in order to get control, we manipulate. We judge others to feel less guilty ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we project onto other people
Yep.
because we aren't comfortable with the feelings of shame or guilt or sadness that we feel. And so that's why it's so important that not only do we it's important for us to understand ourselves and what we're feeling, because from a very small age, that's the first thing that makes us feel out of control, is having these emotions and feelings. And if we don't have a secure attachment to kind of show us how to regulate those feelings, then it just feels like we are out of control. And then oftentimes we are punished for having these negative feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're not secure. And it just perpetuates, more and more, like...
Piles on.
Like the law of entropy. We go from a state of order to disorder. And so as we get older and have more experiences and have more traumatic events happen, that narrative just gets louder and louder that, you need to do these things to be safe. You need these things to be heard. You need these. And so I feel like when I'm in a healthy state of mind, I'm grateful that I went through all of that, because I feel like now when I meet people that are struggling, and, I can recognize the demons, because I was like, I had those demons, like I remember when they said that to me and like how I felt. And sorry, this is like all over the place.
No, I love it. I love it. You please go ahead.
So I'm grateful for, what I've been through and that I've been able to get through it. And I'm grateful for the people in my life who were secure and were emotionally healthy, that were patient with me.
Yeah. And
that continue to love me and try to hear me and understand me when I was going through that time. Because I know I have memory, and I just, I remember how just unlovable I was. And, those people could have just validated that narrative, and they didn't. And so because of that, I feel like it's my duty, since I got through it, to be that for someone else.
Interesting. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So I try really hard to, one, be myself, because I feel like when you live your life authentically and openly, then that gives other people permission to do the same.
Yes, absolutely.
And I try to, even just with my home,
which I love, by the way, everything that is going on in here.
Thank you. I just want it to feel open and welcome. Like, I want everyone that comes through here or talks to me to feel like they've been seen, they've been heard, that they're safe.
Yeah.
And of course I don't do that perfectly all the time, because sometimes those demons like to make a visit, but I feel like that's something that I'm doing better every day. And as I do that, you said, as I have learned that about attachment theory and just about the way minds work when we're emotionally unhealthy, I'm like, okay, if this is how I behaved when I was feeling like this, I can look back at the people in my life that added to my trauma or that hurt me and just have empathy for them, because I'm like, man,
interesting.
Like, I've gotten to where I've forgiven myself for acting the ways that I did, and it's like, well, they're humans too and deserving of love, and they were just going through something difficult. And so that's helped me to forgive them, and that forgiveness again helps me to feel lighter and, you know, like,
It's
it's freeing,
go.
yeah.
No, and I think that's it's so funny. It's so many times we hold on to these things, this, you know, whether it be a grudge or hurt feelings or whatever, and it's like we're carrying around these ankle weights, and then we get into the water and we're like, why am I sinking? It's like, just take them off, dang it. Like, you know, you'll actually be able to swim better if you do that. But yeah, there's that freeing feeling, I think, is great. Well, if you guys, we're gonna have a link to wherever we can get this, and I would love for everybody to be able to see that. Where can people find you? Social media, website.
Well, the book is available on Amazon.
Okay.
And then I live here, and
If we won't like give out the address,
No, I
guys,
just-
you know, people like bang on your door.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a second. It's not what I agreed to.
I have a Facebook, but that's pretty much it for social media. I'm not a huge media person. I'm a very in-person person.
Awesome.
So
No, I love that. We'll make sure we put all the links and everything where we can find you, and you know, anything that you guys want to share, as far as like where people can see your work and what you're doing. Obviously, you know, we'll get a link to the book specifically. Now, the last thing I like to do on the podcast as we kind of land the plane here, is our positivity prize fighter segment. It's one of my favorite ones. Because to me, I'm a very positive, very upbeat person. So people are very surprised sometimes when they're like, well, what, you had depression, but you're this bubbly, bright person. Like, how could you possibly go through something like that? Right? Yeah, actually, you've felt that before. But to me, positivity is not all sunshine and rainbows all the time. It's when life punches you in the face, knocks you down, are you going to get back up and keep fighting because you still believe that it's worth fighting for? And so what is a positivity prize fighter moment? We'll start with Paige. What's a time when you have felt like life just punched you in your face, knocked you down, and you got back up and kept going?
I know last year in like middle school, there's like a middle school drama, so I had like a hard time with a specific person, and I remember it was just like, it was hard to go to school every day. I just felt tired and just done with everything. And then I remember I had a friend who, she was kind of with me for like it, but I was kind of like a downer. Like, I wasn't really being myself as much as I used to, and she didn't really love being around that, I think. But then I made some new friends, and I got in a more welcoming situation, and I have people now that are really like, they get me more, and they know that I'm not always in the best mood, but they're here for me for when I'm down and when I'm crazy as usual. But really, I'm glad that they were there to help me get out of my sadness.
No, absolutely. No, thank you for sharing. I think it's super, super important to have people that, I mean, I have a lot of friends and acquaintances and all this other stuff, but not all of them either understand that we go through crap, you know, and whether they just don't know how to handle it or they just don't really get it. So it's good to have those people that you can be like, hey, like, today's just one of those days.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. But what about you, Victoria? What's a time when you have felt like life? I mean, you shared a lot, which is so awesome. I seriously, I've loved everything that you've said. But what's a time that really sticks out in your mind as a time that life just knocked you on your butt, and how did you get out of that?
Well, it's probably, those 5 years after I wrote that poem. Just with 2020 and everything, like, I just felt like I a shell of the person that I used to be. Like, because I've always had depression since high school,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was like, okay, most days were good. I'm positive, happy, bubbly Victoria. And then every once in a while there was days where, you know, I was depressed or sad. And but then it seemed like for quite a while it was the opposite, where most of my days were I was depressed and down, and I maybe had a moment or a day here and there where I felt like myself. And kind of like what she was saying, during that time I learned who was my fair weather friends and who, you know, who could really handle it. Because people are always like, oh, how are you? And then it's like, well, actually, I am. I was just passing by, like,
where's the door?
yeah, right? Because before that, actually, I had a really hard time crying in front of people. I just would hold it all in. You know, that was one of my limiting beliefs.
Conceal, don't feel.
Yeah, like that, like, you know, it was weak.
Super healthy.
And, you know, you had to be, I felt like I had to be on all the time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people knew me as, yeah, the bubbly, entertaining, you know, like making jokes. And, you know, when I wasn't that, then, you know, I wasn't worthy anymore. You know, like I had to be on and happy. And so
people
I
wouldn't
would
want to be around you. People wouldn't accept you.
Yes.
et cetera.
And with some people that was definitely true. And, you know, no fault of their own, you know, like they're dealing with their own stuff. They don't need, you know. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So I just felt like I was really down and low all the time. But one of the things that will be in my memoir someday, and the thought that I had after I dated that guy, and I was just, you know, like I feel like he like took my muchness, took my shine, like just made me feel less than I was. And I just had this, and she visits me every once in a while, this thought, like this voice in my head being like, don't let anybody steal your shine, baby girl. And so, and that's kind of just like how I feel, you know, like it took me a while to get there. And, you know, but I put in the work. Like when I moved here, I had a plan to, like, I was going to go see a therapist.
Awesome.
And I was going to finally get on the right medication. Because for the longest time, you know, there's a stigma kind of against medication. And
absolutely.
And, you know, I was trying, you know, like I want to do natural things first. Like I don't want to become dependent on, again, like that sense of control. Like I just want to be able to have control of my life without needing medication, without, you know, like that was the narrative in my head. But one of the ways that my dad described medication, because sometimes, for some people, you don't need to be on medication forever.
Yeah.
You just...
It's for a period of time.
For a period of time. And he's like, because he's a dentist, and he's like, if you think about it, you know, when I do root canals, I have to numb them up, because he's like, if I were to do a root canal or pull tooth or whatever, they would not be able to withstand the pain. And so I numb them up, do the work that needs to get done, and then, you know, they're fixed after that. And he's like, I feel like therapy is kind of the same thing. When you go to therapy, it's going to hurt a lot more before, because you're opening those wounds that did not heal correctly. And, you know, they're exposed and they're raw, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to be painful. And so sometimes people need the medication to kind of level that, you know, help them to be able to withstand the pain while they work through it and heal properly. And after that's done and they've rewired their brain and they've properly healed from those past wounds and trauma, then they don't need the medication anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just like there's nothing wrong with, you know, taking pain meds when you're hurt, when you're physically hurt.
And that's a whole discussion. I love the way that you put it, though, because this is me, right? I prefer not to take medication, but if I need it, I'm going to take it. Like, I mean, So I call myself, I'm a bipolar bear, right? With all my bipolar bears out there, they know it's hard, you know, and so I take medication. But then there's also the diet and the exercise component that can help maintain and improve and different things like that. So no, I'm with you there. But no, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for being on our podcast today. You guys, please check out this book. It is so much fun. Whether you're going through something yourself, it really is just chock full with these amazing nuggets of wisdom and truth that can really help you get through things. Or if you're trying to find a way, like me, to talk about these things with my children and really kind of open up the door to help them navigate those thoughts, then please check it out, because I've read it with my kids several times already, and they have really loved it. So thank you again, Paige and Victoria, for being on. As I like to say, bridges are built from two sides, and no one succeeds alone. Love you guys.